Hey guys, it's Tehi. Let's finish this up with Salhadaar. This fight looks like it's gonna absolutely slap. This fight looks like it's gonna be really, really fun to do. We'll start in phase one. There were these like a Agrimar like tank combo where it would do two different abilities, Vanquish and I think it was Consume was the other one. Um, where essentially Conquer was the other one, and essentially you would have these three stacks of this Decree Oathbound on every single player, and being in the Conquer Soak, this Circle Soak would remove one of those stacks, and then you would get Vanquish, which would be this frontal, and it was actually massive and would happen super fast out of this, where you would have to point it away from the raid. One thing to take a note of is the beginning. If you go back and try to watch testing, like an entire hour of testing, let's say, the first 30-ish minutes of this boss, the fight was somewhat bugged, where the tanks could not actually taunt in the middle of these mechanics. So some groups were just like putting both consumes back to back, popping like barriers and everything to survive on all the groups, rather than having a group one and then a group two on the other side of the boss to do one Conquer Soak and then a second Conquer Soak. The other thing too is, just like Agrimar, the order of tank abilities is random. So on pull one you could get two Conquers back to back. On pull two you could get two Vanquishes back to back. On pull three you could get a Conquer into a Vanquish into a Vanquish into a Conquer, or any sort of combination like that. So your tanks are going to need to be very aware that every single pull is going to be different when it comes to this tank combination. But that's kind of it about phase one. Oh, the last thing I'll add is, like I said, the first 30, 40 minutes of the testing was a little bugged like that. They did fix it about halfway through the testing. So if you watch the last 30 minutes, you'll get a better idea of what this boss fight is going to look like. Yeah, so also in phase one is these little claw charges things. I thought it was going to be like a charge across the room. It wasn't. It was these claws that would go on a player, and then what would happen is the claw would actually come out from like below the arena and actually grab and pull you. This is area of denial. They do stick around for a little while, but they do disappear. And what happens is there's two sets that spawn for every time the mechanic comes out. So there'll be one set that happens, a second set that happens again, and then when it comes back around and it is the first set, any lines that were spawned from the first set will now disappear from the very first time the ability came out. And then when the second set of the second time it comes out is over, then the second set from the first time it came out will also disappear. So it's area denial, but it doesn't stick around forever. The last thing is, like, there's these little beams that literally move at this pace. It's very, very slow. Just don't be in it. It's kind of a non-mechanic in my opinion. So okay, so when we go into phase two, there's going to be these giant purple circles that go on players. You just take them to the outside of the room. It is very important that you take them to the outside of the room, because they will actually spawn these portals, and these portals will have blue lines sticking out of them, so that when the Voidwing boss, does his frontal beams will also come out of these teleports as well. They have a lot of randomness to them. They will point in weird directions, and they will also rotate, but there is no consistency to the direction that they do or do not rotate. So to keep that in mind, take them to the outside of the room, dodge the beams. That's kind of about it. Yeah, so when we go to intermission, you're going to split your groups. Sorry, this would say G2 into two separate sides. And the way it's going to work is these guys hang out here. There's going to be one of the princes, one of these large Titan guys, and then four of these Shadowguard Reapers on both sides. And you just have to go kill them. The priority is the Titan is the highest priority, and then I was seeing most groups kill the Prince and the Reapers simultaneously. But if this guy self-destructs, it's a raid wipe. This is very much Razageth-ish, and the way you get over there is there's going to be these little teleporters that exist on the outside of the arena, and you have to use your Rescue Wraps to interact with them, and it will actually fly you over to the side platforms. So you'll just take these teleporters, go to your sides, kill your ads, and then you'll interact again to come back to the main platform. When you come back to the main platform, you will actually not go to intermission 2. You will actually restart phase 2 all over again. So You'll do that for a little while. Once the boss hits, it was kind of weird. Once the boss was hitting about 40%, it was automatically. Oh wait, sorry, that was the second intermission. In any case, let's get back to intermission 2. So intermission 2, 100% damage amp. This guy's basically immune. There's going to be just lines you have to dodge. They just look like claw marks. It's nothing special. What I was going to say, but this is what is actually correct, is when this Void Wing was hitting about 40% health, this intermission with this damage amp was just ending early. And I assume it was just a testing bug. Maybe not even a bug isn't maybe even the correct word, where they were just trying to get you to see the entire fight so they could test everything out appropriately. So this guy was actually getting more health back than what he actually should have. But this intermission is pretty simple. Just dodge stuff. That's about it. Phase 3 is where things get really, really hectic. So there's going to be some players that are selected for these circle drops, very much like Keveza, where you're going to drop portals on the little rhombus-like locations around the room. And these will actually start spinning and rotating around. We'll also do like the gravitational pull that happened on Kybeza. So your raid wants to be in the center, and you want to drop them on probably 5 separate markers, so that the raid just like stays in the center and doesn't actually get forcibly moved into one direction. So, yeah. So once these are done, they'll actually grow these spikes and continue to move around the room like this. As they move around the room, they will create an area of denial that's very much like the second intermission of Silken Court, where there's going to be a safe spot that you have to get into, and these will keep growing and growing and growing and growing until they eventually stop at the end. These are allowed to run into each other and collide in Heroic, so don't worry about that. That's a Mythic thing. And then the last thing to add is, just like in Kybeza, where you would have to point those lines onto safety areas, and then it would, leave the dot on you, and then you'd shoot out the Queensbane arrows or whatever. That exists here too, except you're shooting them and trying to hit one of these spiky balls that are rotating around the room. And when you hit them, they'll explode, and then they'll just disappear. So these 3 arrows point at these 3. This is gone, this is gone, this is gone. And now there's just 2 remaining. And that's kind of it. You just repeat phase 3 from there. You drop more of these circles, you do the whole gravitational pull thing again, you do these area denial circles, you stay safe, and then you point again and destroy. And that's kind of about it. The only thing to like wrap this up is I was seeing some things of like weird spell queues of like nothing happening. Like when people were coming back from the first intermission back to the center platform before second intermission started and doing the second set of phase 2 all over again, there was times where the boss was like doing nothing for like 30 seconds, like 0 abilities were casted. So I don't know if that's just a PTR thing of trying to get everyone to get to the last phase so they can see the fight more or what, but that was one thing. And then the last thing to consider is when you're doing phase 3, it actually has so much movement. Like the moment you get done dodging these, and these lines come out, you have to destroy these circles, and then you get these new gravitational pull things, you get pulled in, and then as soon as those pulls done, now you're dodging these, and it just repeats like that over and over and over again, and it's super, super quick. So just keep that in mind. I think that's about it for Salhadaar. It looks like a really awesome boss fight. So again, I won't be doing the first 3 bosses until the heroic testing is done on them. They still have yet to announce when that heroic test is going to be, but we are getting mythic testing this week, the 10th and the 11th. So I will be having videos coming out talking about the mythic changes for all 7 of the first bosses before that testing comes out, so you and your group can properly prepare. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.